In the beginning, I was just a simple woman who believed in love with all her heart. When I married him, I thought I had found the man who would stand beside me forever. Everything felt so perfect. He smiled at me every day, held my hand, told me he loved me, and made plans for our future. I trusted every word he said. I believed in the warmth of his eyes, the calm in his voice, and the way he made me feel safe. For a while, I thought I was the happiest woman in the world. We didn't have much money, but our home was full of laughter and small joys. I would wait for him to come home every evening, cook his favorite meals, and listen to him talk about his day. Sometimes we stayed up late just talking about dreams. I was sure we were building something strong together. But slowly, something started to change. At first, I didn't want to see it. I kept telling myself that maybe he was just tired, that work was harder than before, or that life was simply putting pressure on us. But his eyes stopped looking at me the same way. His words became short, and his smile was no longer real. He came home later than usual. He checked his phone more than before. He laughed at things I couldn't hear, and sometimes he looked far away, even when he was sitting right beside me. I started noticing things. His shirts had a strange perfume on them. He deleted messages quickly. He made excuses not to spend weekends with me. And when I asked him gently if something was wrong, he always said no, but his eyes said something else. I began to feel alone, even when he was there. I cried in the shower so he wouldn't hear me. I stayed awake at night wondering what I had done wrong. I checked his phone when he was asleep, but there was nothing clear. Just small signs. Just enough to make my heart shake, but not enough to make a fight. I started feeling like a stranger in my own home. He used to kiss me before leaving the house. He used to call me during the day just to say hi. Now, he barely looked at me. I tried harder. I cooked better meals. I dressed nicely. I smiled even when I was hurting. I told myself that maybe it was just a phase. That love changes with time. But deep inside, I felt something was broken. And no matter how much I tried, he didn't come closer. He was slipping away from me, piece by piece, day by day. One evening, while cleaning the room, I found a small note in his jacket pocket. It wasn't signed. It had just one line. A simple sentence that broke something inside me. Last night was beautiful. I can't stop thinking about you. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. I sat on the floor, holding the paper, trying to breathe. I didn't cry. Not at that moment. I just felt empty. I wanted to believe it was nothing. Maybe it was from a colleague. Maybe it was old. Maybe it wasn't real. But my heart knew. I felt it deep in my bones. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. Something real was happening behind my back. Something that didn't include me. I didn't tell him what I found. I just watched him. Carefully. Quietly. Like a stranger observing someone she used to know. I watched the way he smiled at his phone, how he disappeared for hours, how he avoided looking into my eyes. I stopped asking questions. I started preparing myself for the truth, even though I wasn't ready. I still hoped he would return to me. That maybe he would realize I was still here. Waiting. Loving. Hurting. But that hope was slowly dying inside me, like a candle burning out in a cold room. I didn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. I heard her laugh in my mind, the way he used to make me laugh. I remembered how he once looked at me, with warmth, with care, and now he looked at someone else that way. The pain was not just in my heart. It was in my bones, my chest, my stomach. I felt sick, but I kept pretending everything was fine. I smiled when he came home. I acted normal. But inside, I was screaming. I wanted to ask him why. I wanted to yell, to cry, to hit him, to beg him to stop. But I didn't. I waited. I needed to see how far he would go. Would he lie to my face again? Would he hold me and still think about her? One evening, we were having dinner. He was talking about something funny at work. I was just nodding, pretending to listen. And then he got a message. His phone lit up. I saw her name. He looked at the screen, smiled, and turned it over. That was the moment I broke. I asked him, "Are you happy?" He looked confused. "Of course," he said. "Why do you ask?" I looked into his eyes and asked again, "Are you truly happy with me?" He paused. He looked down. And for the first time in a long time, he was silent. I told him I knew. I told him I saw the photos. I told him I knew everything. He froze. His face turned pale. He didn't speak for a while. Then, with the softest voice, he said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." That sentence shattered me more than anything. If you didn't want to hurt me, why did you destroy me? He tried to explain. He said he felt lost. He said he didn't plan it. That it just happened. That he was confused. I heard every excuse, every reason, but none of it could take away the pain. None of it could undo the betrayal. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just packed a small bag and left. I walked out of the house that once felt like home. My hands were shaking, but my steps were strong. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay. It's been months now. Some days are better than others. I still remember everything. I still feel the weight of that heartbreak. But I've started to breathe again. I've started to laugh again. I've started to live, not as someone's wife, not as someone's second choice, but as myself. This story isn't just about pain. It's about survival. It's about listening to your gut. It's about walking away from what hurts, even when you love it. Because sometimes, the person who breaks you is the one you trusted the most. And healing begins the moment you choose yourself over them. At first, everything felt empty. The silence in my new apartment was heavy. I would wake up and reach for him, only to remember I was alone now. I didn't know how to cook for one. I didn't know how to sleep without hearing his breathing beside me. Every small thing reminded me of what I had lost. Or rather, what I had left behind. But little by little, something inside me began to shift. I started walking in the mornings. At first, just to clear my head. Then, to feel the wind on my face. I began to notice things I had forgotten, birds singing, the way sunlight falls through the trees, the sound of my own breath. I didn't have to rush. I didn't have to answer to anyone. I just had to be. I bought myself flowers. I filled my space with colors, with softness, with peace. I stopped wearing makeup for a while. Not because I was sad, but because I wanted to see my real face again. The one I had hidden behind smiles for too long. Sometimes I would cry in the shower. Sometimes I would laugh while watching silly movies alone. I was relearning everything, how to be with myself, how to love myself, how to forgive myself for staying too long in a place that didn't feel safe anymore. I went to therapy. I spoke honestly, maybe for the first time in years. I stopped pretending I was fine. I admitted I was broken.